it is, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. There's the Fontana Lake and the Fontana Dam. And it's about 7:30 in the morning on day 14. 2 weeks on trail, just heading into the Smokies. That's a pretty good time, I think. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. It's going to be a big day today, heading uphill, I think for the first almost 11 miles or something, up onto the ridgeline. And then I gather once we're up there, the Smokies itself isn't too bad, just walking along the ridgelines. Next town stop will be Gatlinburg, which I get to from Newfound Gap in time for Easter. Leaving Russell Field Shelter. There's 3 miles between Molly Shelter and Russell Field. I think it's another 3 miles to the next one. That last 3 mile stretch was the first time I've actually been like alone on trail, I guess, since like day 3. I've been walking with Raiden, and earlier on I was walking with Red as well, and it's kind of weird being by myself. They're not far ahead of me, I don't think, or Raiden. Red's behind me somewhere. Toto's up ahead as well, so sure I'll catch them up at the next shelter maybe, or at Rocky Top or something, or maybe not, I guess. You never know. So we've just been over Rocky Top, had some pretty awesome views out across the mountains. Now we're heading over to Thunderhead for hopefully the same before dropping down to the shelter for the night. I think it's going to end up being about a 38-kilometer day today, which is a little bit more than I was anticipating. So it's 5 p.m. and we have about 3 kilometers to go, a little less than 2 miles. I'm tired and I'm hungry. It's been a big day. Probably, as well as mileage wise, Definitely the most elevation gain for one day. Everything's a little bit sore. I'm ready to sit down, eat some food, and sleep. I feel like this has been the longest 3 kilometers ever. But the shelter's got to be just up ahead somewhere. It has to be. I am exhausted. Alright, big day. 38 kilometers or 24 miles to the shelter. When we got here, the place was absolutely packed. In theories, in the Smokies, you're meant to stay in the shelter. However, the shelter is full and there's probably 30 or so maybe tents around. It's pretty crazy. Looking forward to a nice night rest. Maybe sleeping tomorrow. We're only walking 12 miles or like 20 kilometers tomorrow. So it should be nice and cruisy. We are going over Clingmans Dome tomorrow, which is the highest point on the AT. But otherwise, I think it should be a pretty easy day. Just before 8, day 15 on the trail. That's the 18th of April. Today we continue through the Smokies. I think we're planning about 12 miles or 20 kilometers up and over Clingmans Dome, which is the highest point on the AT. It's also 1 year ago today that I started the PCT. That's pretty crazy to think how much has changed in my life, at least since then. I'm not sure why I keep doing this, but it's alright, I'll just keep walking, right? Weather's looking pretty good. There was a pretty cold wind most of the night last night, but it was pretty much the best sleep I've had. First night I've really been cold enough. My sleeping bag is way too warm for the weather conditions out here. So I'll switch that out soon, I think. But in the meantime, down a hill, up a hill. I guess we just keep following the white blazes. Clingmans Dome, 7.4 miles. This way. Just leaving a double spring gap shelter, heading up towards Clingmans Dome. 4.5 k's and 350 meters elevation gain to get there. Looks like it's going to be really, really windy up the top, but we should have some good views. That's like 500 meters. Clingmans Dome, highest point on the AT, and we're heading back on trail. Appalachian Trail that way. We just reached 200 miles. We almost walked straight past. So it's 4.5 miles from here to Newfound Gap, which is where we'll go to get into Gatlinburg tomorrow. Right now we're going to Mount Collins Shelter, which is half a mile down the side trail. So it's been a pretty cruisy day today. I went over Clingmans Dome and then ended up at the shelter around 1:30, 2 o'clock maybe, I'm not entirely sure. We've just been hanging out here with once again a new group of people, and now I'm heading to bed. Going into town tomorrow, which will be great.